I'm very happy to welcome in Women's Talk Zerrin Baser. Hello.
Hello.
Entrepreneur, coach, trainer, a woman. Welcome.
Thank you.
My first question would be, besides all the roles that I just mentioned, who are you? How do you feel yourself to be?
Well, this is a very easy question to answer. Who am I? Well, my life was always with a focus of human. It was from my childhood that I was trying to understand what does it mean to be a human. It was a weird thing for a child because my parents say I ask a lot of questions around this. My father was a pediatrician, and surely I get a lot of impression from him, but I decided to become a medical doctor to learn it. By the moment I graduated from medical school, I realized I don't know anything about human. So my journey started after that. I started to get into psychology, sociology, spirituality, all religions, and anything that has a connection, how I can understand better what does human mean, took me in. And on the way, I started to learn what is so important about being human is our beautiful capacity to be able to look from outside to ourselves. So when I realized at some moment, actually it happened, I was studying, I love biology for years. I love it, I still love it, I read a lot about it. It was one moment in my life which I will never ever forget. I was reading cell biology and suddenly I felt every cell in my body and how beautifully they're working. And what such a unique and at the same time with so many things similar and different and at the same time harmony and a lot of action going on in one cell for that cell to be present and also to communicate with all other cells to make this beautiful organism. So we may think this is the part that we can touch, but at that moment I felt this unity with the universe. So this was kind of a shifting point for me in my life, and after that moment on, I always look from, I call them, I have a lot of, we are now in front of some cameras. I call them, we have a lot of cameras. And one of them is this, and it looks at any moment, I have this camera here that's also looking at this moment to me, how I perceive myself and what's going on. So this started quite early in my life, I think. And after that, whatever I learn, I realized the most important thing is because I'm a person who has a quite part that looks for science, for data, process data, and very analytic. But at the same time, of course, the synthesis and big picture is as important as that one. So I started to notice whatever I learn, how am I reflecting in my life? Then I noticed there is even something more, which is there is a internal kind of a measure. It's very difficult for me to explain it, but I have this, whatever measure is, it's here, and I feel it. So when I read a book, if something clicks with me, it says yes. And then I have this sense, yes, then I go after it. Suddenly I find myself finding another book that has a relation with that quote or that name or whatever, that subject. And whatever I notice, then I look, okay, information is great, then what is the reflection on me and how can I reflect it into life? So who am I? I am a person who is learning how to be human in this life. And in my words, this is also written in my website, I think we born as human in small capitals, small letters, and we walk towards being a human in big letters, capitals. So my way is to being in this journey to become human in the big capitals, to really fulfill whatever this incredible beauty is reflecting to us or through us.
I have a prepared question, but now after what you shared with us, thank you for that. I have so many other questions I would like to ask, but what really resonates with me in what you're saying is this deep trust. Mm-hmm. And I really want that. So how did it came naturally? Did it really just, after the experience you had, did it just clicked, or did you worked on it to really, stabilize it, to really? Mm.
Well, both. Mm-hmm. I will say both. There are moments, of course, we question a lot of things. Could it be this way? Could it be true? Could it be? But since we have this, from scientific perspective, nobody really knows how our consciousness is working. Mm-hmm. So is it a kind of an iCloud system, or our brain is creating it? And these are still under question. So, but when I get something in my mind, it happens to me that I come across with a book, and then I read the same sentence, and then I say, okay.
You feel it.
Yeah. Or I read something in a book. I can give an example of Eckhart Tolle, for instance. Mm-hmm. I had read his books, listened audio tapes, and from moment to moment I reread a page and I say, did he really say that? Oh my gosh. Then that moment it is for me to realize. So it happens in both ways. But I'll tell you a little story that was very important for me and related with coaching. I was in France and teaching module 3, which is one of the valued and value coaching program that we teach in modules. And the group was a very interesting group, and I had really difficult moments. And there was no one to ask. It was my earlier facilitator trainer years. And that night I had a dream. And in that dream I saw myself lying on a beautiful beach, but there were some planes that were, really passing very close to the shore and throwing some cans. Empty cans, and there were a lot of people, kids playing, and I was thinking, oh, they're going to get hurt, because even if it's empty, when you throw it at some height, it will, do some harm to people. And I realized nothing is happening, and I was lying like this. And the morning I woke up and I said, the only thing you can trust, Zerrin, is yourself. And this is a beautiful message. So get up from the bed, go there and do what you know best. And that day went perfect. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, okay, that's the way to do it. So in both ways, but I truly believe there is only one person in life whom we can trust. It's ourselves. Mm-hmm. Not ourselves as this, but our huge capabilities, potentials, higher self, whatever you call it. So it is through us. That trust can only reflect it through us.
So every time we feel lost in something or in some chaos, it's a signal to come back.
Yes.
And reconnect to this trust.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's just, just one sentence. I do trust myself, and then trust the process that it will happen.
Yes.
Thank you very much for sharing. I'm very emotional now. It's very nice. Thank you. With all the tools that you have in the world now, why did you choose coaching?
Why did I choose coaching? First of all, I'm a person who really loves to listen. I was listening from my childhood, so I was the one everybody come and telling me their secrets, and I was keeping them. So that was a habit maybe. But besides that, as I said, I started to explore how we can even become and reflect our beautiful potential in the world, because I truly believe every human being on this planet is very unique, and everyone is already, of course, reflecting something to life. But there is this alignment. I read it in one of my favorite author's books. He calls them evolutionary alignment with the wave of the evolution. Mm-hmm. So really aligning with what we're supposed to align, or already aligned anyway, realizing it. This I think is very important. And when I met with coaching, in fact, I generally have some kind of a experience on the negative side. I went to a coach, and that was in my life a moment where I really felt like a bug who was squeezed under something. It was really very painful, I will call it. But then I thought, this shouldn't be it. There must be something behind. Then I started to search, and I came across with Erickson coaching. And when I learned what coaching really is, I said, okay, this is the way to open up space for people so that they can be themselves. Because we love to give advice. We love to create a path for anyone we think we know somehow. That can be our very close family members as well. But I truly believe that a human being can only help another human being by opening up this beautiful coaching space as a leader, as a parent, as a husband, as a wife, as a couple, whatever, whomever, then that person can show and develop his or her potential and reflect it into life. That's why.
Yeah, we are back in the trust.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you help the person to strengthen the trust in themselves. You don't
Yes.
take the energy from them and play the master, but you help them to reconnect with the trust and get stronger in themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, when they leave your office, that they will work
Yes.
as a strong, stable human being that do not need any other support.
That's true.
Amazing. Would you please share with us approximately 3 tools that you really use regularly, that keeps you going, keeps you focused, keeps you driven, and
Well, the very first tool is today. Some people were asking, how are you going to spend the day? And I start to tell I'm now going into an interview, then I'll have a meeting, and so I believe we have an innate not only tendency but an urge to produce. So every day I do a lot of things. So from outside, people may think, oh, you're so busy. But it's not being busy. Whatever I do, there is always a meaning for it, and in some ways that benefit, and somehow a place to open up a space. I'm so grateful that you opened that space for me for the moment. So it's a production from my perspective, and a lot of things to take and a lot of things to give and share. And so this is one thing. Even in holiday days, I do produce something. I write. I do at least a coaching session. Something has to be there. This is one of my keys. There is no day that I don't do anything.
So you get the energy from doing, from activity.
From activity. Mm-hmm. But it's not in the sake of doing. Mm-hmm. It's not to rush to something or to do so that I do. Second thing is this camera and all other cameras that I have. It's not only one. And I love the metaphor drone. I have a drone walking, just turning on top of my head as well, at some heights. And the third one is I love to reflect a lot. And my way of reflecting is I read, I take notes, and then I relate them in some things, and then I turn and relate them to myself. and I do it a lot. And because of the work I do, I have two offices in two big cities in Turkey, Ankara and Istanbul. So I travel a lot, and I also travel in many countries as well. So a lot of time is, I spend a lot of time by traveling. And those moments for me are great moments for reflection. So I use any moment when I have, either I observe, and I also observe a lot. I observe people, but I always associate with, because we're all connected with each other. So I use that resource a lot too.
To do self-reflection,
Yes.
and to
Yes.
learn about keep learning about
Yeah.
yourself and where you are at a
Yes.
given moment.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing,
You're
for
welcome.
coming here.
I thank
It's such
you.
a peaceful, calm energy, and I learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me. Thank you.
Have a great day.